Welcome back, Silver and Blue Nation. This is Jeff Freeman with Quick Hits. This evening, we're going to talk about the Cowboys and the New York Giants game, that barn burner over in Texas Stadium. And I must say, man, the Cowboys made Russell Wilson look like vintage Russell Wilson, the Super Bowl Russell Wilson. That man, he passed for 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and man, it was just something else to see that the secondary, they kind of struggled. Well, they ain't no kind of struggle. They struggle pretty bad. And we're just going to take a look at how Deron Bland not being on the field yesterday affected the play of the secondary. So Deron Bland, he came up on the injury report late in the week with a foot injury, and that forced the Cowboys to put in Reddy Stewart, who they picked up right before the season started. And then they brought up Zion Childress from the practice squad. And the Cowboys got the W, but it didn't look good. So let's just jump right into what happened. I want to look at the secondary. I'm going to share my screen with y'all. And this is 3rd and 25. That first drive of the Giants, it was a lot of penalties, particularly from the left tackle, Hudson. Man, he just got penalty after penalty after penalty, and then eventually they benched him. It was just bad, but bad for the Giants. So let's look at this play. This is 3rd, and I'm gonna start with 3rd and 25, and let's just look at this play. Now, this was the beginning of the problems that the Cowboys had. For the most of the day, the Giants, they ran these seam routes, and the Cowboys, they just stayed in cover 2 the majority of the game. And you got a Russell Wilson. He's a seasoned vet. He knows cover 2 in his sleep. And they ran those seam routes and 9 routes the entire game. And then Eberflus, he never really made no adjustments. Now, let's go back to this one. I want you to look at this. Okay, you got Reddy Stewart. He's filling in for Deron Bland. And you got Malik Hooker. They're in cover 2 right here. He just runs this seam route. Now, they called that play back because of the penalty, but it was the beginning of the same play over and over again. The communication, if you look back at that play, Reddy Stewart, he was pointing to the safety for help, and it was just too late. Wandell Robinson had already passed him, but they called that play back. And so let's look at another play like that. It was the same seam routes the entire game, and they didn't really make any adjustments. And that just played into Russell Wilson's strength because he loves to throw the deep ball. He's known for throwing the deep ball. And another thing that was disappointing yesterday as far as the defense, they weren't really getting to Russell Wilson. So I hate to bring up Micah Parsons, but hey, Micah Parsons, 3rd and long. He's that impact player to get these guys off the field. And so Russell Wilson, he had plenty of time. You give a guy like Russell Wilson time to throw the football, and guess what? It's going to be a long day like it was yesterday. So this is a second play. This is a different drive. It's 3rd and 1. But I want you to just look at how he just seamlessly throws these seam routes, and not really getting any kind of jam on him. That's Malik Neighbors right there. Got the seam route, and they're not even really jamming them on the line of scrimmage. Why are they not jamming these guys at the line of scrimmage? Let's look at it again. Look at it. He just runs outside release. And that's Trayvon. You got Trayvon Diggs. You got to remember Trayvon is still somewhat injured. You know, he's not 100%. And the Giants probably knew once Bland went down, the Giants came in and said, you know what, we're going to try this secondary. We don't think this secondary is good as they letting on, just because they played the Philadelphia Eagles pretty tough. And sure enough, man, Cowboys got exposed in that secondary. They ran the same seam route, and it didn't matter who was on Neighbors, and Wanye Robinson. They put on the clinic. So let's check. I'm going to take a look at another play. I'm not going to show all the plays, but Russell probably connected on 7 or 8 seam routes yesterday. He just could not get it together in the secondary, and it was real bad outing yesterday for the secondary. Donovan Wilson played a big part in a lot of these big plays. He just was not in the position that he needed to be in when Russ was throwing that ball to Neighbors and Robinson. So let's look at this. Let's look at this play right here. Let's see. Give me 1 second, y'all. And the crazy thing I'm going to tell you was the defensive line, they wasn't really getting any pressure They just wouldn't get in the rust, and they benched Dante Fowler. And the crazy thing, Jerry was up in the booth. He making deals with Jadeveon Clowney during the halftime of the game. I have never seen nothing like that in my life. He looking at the defensive line struggle to get to this guy, and he makes that deal right in the middle of the football game. So let's look at this is another seam route. Got trips up top, Neighbors over Trayvon. It just, man, the communication was not there yesterday on these plays, man. It was just frustrating. And you didn't really see Eberflus. Look at this. No pressure. Russ just sat in the pocket. You got Donovan Wilson right here, and he's just not in play. He's not giving Diggs help. And there was a communication breakdown the entire game with Diggs and Donovan Wilson. Cover 3. And so Russ, defense comes off the ball. He sits right back in the pocket, and Neighbors just run right past Trayvon. Trayvon thinking Donovan Wilson is giving help, and Donovan just was out of place. Man, that just wasn't good defense. Knowing that Diggs is coming off an injury, he's not 100%. I just didn't like the scheme that Eberflus had going on. That just wasn't a good defensive scheme considering the injury to Diggs. Now, I must say that was the bad. I just wanted to point out those few miscues yesterday during the game. But overall, they got the W. Dak played an amazing game yesterday. And it was just one of those games where the New York Giants, they came in there and they played the Cowboys tough. You know, it's a division rivalry. Nobody wants to go 0-2 because when you go 0-2, it's almost impossible to bounce back and make it to the playoffs or even go to the NFC Championship. So the Giants, they came in and played. They had a great plan. Everybody was saying Russ was going to get replaced by Dart by the half, but Russ came in and balled out. I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't want to see Russ win, but he played a great game. And I give it to Dak. Dak played an outstanding. All these Dak haters out here, man, be quiet, because Dak played his butt off yesterday, racked up a lot of yards, and he made the throws when he needed to make the throws. You could tell it's just a difference in how Shoddy got this Cowboy team playing. Yeah, they gave up 37 points, but the confidence was there. You know, it's just like, okay, well, next play, they just shake it off like a pitcher. Oh, next play, I'm going to get the next play. And they just kept fighting. And I really like that about this team. I really like that Dak didn't really zero in on CD. He started working George Pickens, and George Pickens made some great big-time clutch catch, especially the drag route that he ran. And it was like 3rd and long, and he got the first down and kept the chains moving. Now, that's what he gets paid for, and he's showing up, even though he's not getting the targets. I think they're still trying to figure it out on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. Who can do what? And I think eventually, once you get all these guys back from injury in the secondary, they got to tweak some things. They brought in Jadeveon Clowney, which, Jadeveon is still, he got some tread on the tires, and I think he's going to be pretty good. But overall, I think that the Cowboys showed some resilience. The Cowboys did a pretty good job. Right now, they just trying to get the W, and that's what's most important. It's going to be ugly games like this. It's going to be some good games. Once they get clicking, I think this team could really make a push for the playoffs. This team is headed in the right direction. They working in Jadeveon Clowney on the edge. He's going to give you some pressures. He's not a 10 or 15 sack guy. He might give you 8 sacks, but he give you a lot of pressures, and he plays the run. That's what I like about Jadeveon Clowney. Another veteran guy to go along with Kenny Clark and Solomon Thomas and Kenny Clark. They had a great game yesterday. The edges couldn't get to the quarterback. I would like to see James Houston get more reps on the end, because James Houston, man, he's been balling. He played like 15 snaps, got a sack, got some tackles, got some disruption in the backfield. You got to put this guy on the field, man. If Dante is not performing, you got to give Houston some burn. So with that being said, Cowboy Nation, that's it for this evening's Quick Hits. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So long, and we are